Pay attention to Madeline Kingsbury, 26 years old, walking into her home on a late March morning in Winona, Minnesota. She's just dropped off her 2 young children at daycare, like any other Friday. She has less than 3 hours left. Because Adam Fravel, the father of her children, the man she's been trying to leave for months, has disabled every tracking device he possesses. On this day, Maddie is scheduled to attend a work meeting and drive to her job at the Mayo Clinic. On this day, Adam has decided she will never leave this house again. This is the story of 90 minutes that changed everything.
I know, it was so stupid. I was just trying to make a joke, but I hugged her behind her and I said, "You don't want to end up like that with Tina, do you?" And I know that was really bad. That was a really stupid joke. It was literally just a joke.
Madeline Jane Kingsbury entered this world on June 1st, 1996, the youngest child of David and Krista Kingsbury. From her first steps in Winona, people knew this bubbly child would go far. Her older siblings, Megan and Stephen, watched her grow into someone who was always there for others, whether they needed a shoulder to cry on or a partner for adventures. After graduating from Winona High School, she attended Winona State University, where popularity followed her naturally. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. That's just who Maddie was, someone people wanted to be around. Following university, she joined the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, as a clinical research coordinator. Impressive words for impressive work. But Maddie wasn't satisfied with just excelling at her career. By age 26, she was simultaneously pursuing her master's degree in public health administration at the University of Minnesota. All of this while raising 2 children at home. Ambitious doesn't begin to describe her. Kind, thoughtful, intelligent, charming. She grabbed life with both hands and refused to let go. But there was something holding her back, someone dragging her down while she tried to soar. His name was Adam Fravel. On paper, Adam looked normal enough. He met Maddie at Winona State University while studying management information systems. When Maddie became pregnant with their first child during college, they decided to stick it out together. Adam dropped out and went to work in online advertising, the data-driven side of the business. Nothing glamorous. Then spring 2020 arrived. His job disappeared along with millions of others during the pandemic. Adam became what he called a stay-at-home dad. Technically accurate, since he stayed at home and technically had children. But the reality painted a darker picture. He didn't clean the house. He didn't help with the kids. He played video games all day while Maddie worked full-time, pursued her graduate degree, and essentially raised their children alone. She was the breadwinner, the homemaker, and the parent. Adam was simply there, like a third child she had to manage. Things between them had been deteriorating for years. On again, off again, but when you live together, making that off stick becomes nearly impossible.
I think she literally poured out a river of love for him, and she got nary a drop in return.
Friends witnessed the dysfunction. In 2020, during a video call, one friend watched Adam approach Maddie from behind and start yelling about the messy house. When Maddie suggested he could clean it since he didn't have a job, Adam struck her. The friend was still on the call. She watched it happen in real time. It wasn't the only incident. Friends noticed bruises appearing on Maddie from time to time. The pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Adam had developed a disturbing fixation. In autumn 2021, the nation became captivated by the disappearance of 22-year-old Gabby Petito, who vanished during a cross-country van trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. The case dominated headlines for weeks. Adam became obsessed. Multiple friends later told police he was infatuated with the Gabby Petito case. He watched every news special, followed every update, studied every detail of how Brian Laundrie had ended Gabby's life and evaded authorities before his own death.
He had actually turned and grabbed her by the throat and pinned her down and told her that if she wasn't careful, that she would end up just like her.
Maddie texted a friend afterward, "After a joke about me ending up like Gabby Petito, if I don't learn to mind, it wasn't funny. That's what sealed it for me when I kicked him out last year. I thought I could get past all the trauma, but really I was doing it for him and the kids. Do you think my kids will be okay?" Her friend begged her to report the incident to police. Even if you don't want him arrested, the friend urged the police should at least be aware of this domestic violence. Maddie refused. She was scared of him, but somehow still worried about him. Even her father warned her, "He's going to end your life." Maddie's dad hadn't spoken to Adam in a long time. He hated him. He saw what everyone else saw, what Maddie couldn't quite admit to herself yet. By March 2023, Maddie had finally decided. The relationship was over, truly over this time. She started searching online for apartments in Winona for herself and the children. She was planning her exit. She had also started seeing someone new.
I'm Spencer Sullivan, and I was dating Madeline Kingsbury at the time of her disappearance.
His name was Spencer, and ironically, he had been in the same fraternity as Adam back at Winona State University. They didn't really know each other then, just faces passing in the hallway. Now, Spencer was getting to know Maddie, and through her, learning disturbing details about Adam's behavior, Adam knew about Spencer. Maddie had been honest with him. It drove him into a rage. He demanded access to her phone constantly, reading through all her messages. Whenever Maddie went to visit Spencer, she had to disable her location tracking because Adam would see where she was and bombard her with texts demanding attention. She wasn't even allowed to say Spencer's name in Adam's presence. The tension in the house became unbearable. But there was something else, something Adam had discovered that made him realize what he stood to lose. Maddie's job at the Mayo Clinic included a death benefit, similar to life insurance. If something happened to her, her family and the father of her children would receive $170,000. Adam had no job, no income. The woman supporting him was about to leave. But that death benefit started looking pretty attractive to a man who spent his days playing video games while his partner worked herself to exhaustion. On March 30th, 2023, Adam made preparations. He disabled all location tracking on his iCloud account, his iPhone, his car's GPS system. He even turned off advertising trackers on his phone. Everything that could trace his movements was switched off. The next morning, March 31st, Maddie and Adam dropped their children at daycare together around 8 in the morning. Security footage shows them arriving, Maddie sending her last text message shortly after. They drove home together in her minivan. What happened next in that house, only Adam knows for certain. But investigators believe he attacked her shortly after they returned home, possibly causing fatal injuries. He wrapped her remains in a gray fitted bedsheet from their home, securing it with black Gorilla Tape. Both items would later be identified as coming from their residence. Before 10 o'clock that morning, a neighbor's security camera captured Adam outside their home, switching the license plates between Maddie's minivan and his own car. Why swap plates unless you don't want your vehicle identified? He drove away at 11 o'clock, heading south toward the small town of Mabel where his parents lived. Security footage tracked the minivan along the route, but there was a 45-minute gap in the coverage, a period where nobody knows exactly where Adam went. At 12:44 in the afternoon, cameras picked up the minivan heading back north toward Winona. Police later drove the same route and found the timing matched. Whatever Adam did during that gap, he did it quickly. That evening, Maddie's mother, Krista, tried calling her daughter to arrange weekend plans. No answer. She tried Maddie's sister, Megan. Same thing. Nobody had heard from Maddie all day.
I sent her this funny picture, and we were just kind of laughing back and forth about it. And that was at 8:15 that morning, and then I didn't hear anything else.
They reached out to Adam. He claimed he hadn't seen her since that morning. After dropping the kids off together, he said they'd returned home briefly, then gone their separate ways. He took her minivan to haul stuff to his parents' house and a storage unit. She was supposed to use his car to drive to work in Rochester. But when he returned home around 11 o'clock, he noticed his car was still parked outside. Maddie was gone. He assumed she'd carpooled with a coworker, something she'd done before. When she didn't respond to his texts about picking up the children, he collected them himself around 4:15 and drove to his parents' house in Mabel. A friend went to check on Maddie that evening. The house was dark. Maddie's minivan sat in the driveway, no signs of life inside.
Nobody was home, so I called the police. I started sobbing at that point.
At 8:20 that night, Winona Police Department received the missing persons call. Police spoke with Adam by phone that first night. He sounded groggy, claiming he'd taken 2 melatonin tablets. He expressed mild concern, but nothing urgent. After all, he'd only last heard from her that morning around 10 o'clock. The friend who reported Maddie missing mentioned something important to police. She knew Maddie was having serious issues with her significant other, Adam Fravel. When officers searched the home the next day, they found a cluttered house but no signs of a struggle. Nothing appeared out of place beyond the general mess. Maddie's phone, wallet, and ID were all there. Her last message had been sent around 8 in the morning, right after dropping the kids off. Adam cooperated with initial questioning, admitting